You know how everything's a subscription now? Music, movies, even socks. I swear if I...
To continue this ad, please upgrade to Premium Plus Platinum.
What? No. Anyway, Blue Apron...
This is a pay-per-listen ad. Please confirm your billing.
Oh, that's annoying. At least with the new Blue Apron, there's no subscription needed. Get delicious meals delivered without the weekly plan.
Wait, no subscription?
Keep the flavor. Ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Hey Wayne, how's it going?
I'm in a wonderful mood, Ed. How are you?
Jolly good. I do apologise. I know you recorded Talk of the Devils yesterday, so you've got to review this absolute sickener of a game twice, at least twice. You're probably writing something about it as well.
Yeah, I did. I wrote something earlier about it, and yeah, so I've relived it 3 times. And just before we came on that, I watched it again just to make sure. I watched it again. I watched the lowlights, as you should call it.
There's rarely been a game in United's history, I mean, some European games, I guess, but rarely have I been so confident of an absolute hiding as I was yesterday. There was some glimmer of hope in the build-up. I was like, maybe, what scenario is there that United could actually get something out of this game? Dave produces some worldy saves. They put 11 men behind the ball. Somehow we get something from a free kick. I don't know, some scenario. But then I saw the lineup. I was like, yeah, they're getting smashed. So, and I don't know what Rangnick could have done differently, really. I hardly blame. I know it's not worked out with him, but I hardly blame him at all. So when I look at those players yesterday,
the formation, you said put 11 men behind the ball, and I guess that was the idea. But the problem is with this Manchester United side, and I think I've said it on here before as well, is that the commonly held theory of football is that there's safety with numbers. And the problem when you put any combination of these Manchester United players, defenders, that if you increase the number, I think you're increasing the jeopardy. Because there's no... And I know it sounds like a flippant and facetious way of saying it, but you look at the players, there's not a good combination between them. There's not a natural combination between them, not a complementary combination between any of the defenders that we've got. It's basically just been hold whatever 2 players are fit and hope that they get through a game, which has basically been the entire season. Come on, you can't bring in, and this isn't even criticising Phil Jones or even Harry Maguire or Lindelof really, but you can't put in Phil Jones cold in a game at Anfield and expect that you're gonna hold out. Especially, I mean, even Maguire before the game is talking up his own form, and it's like,
oh man. Did you see Maguire's sister on Instagram?
No, what she said.
Quote, I don't often talk about it on social media, but I couldn't resist this time. We're all very disappointed with the criticism Harry has been getting lately. It's bang out of order. We truly believe he's been one of the best players this season, and it's heartbreaking to see the abuse being sent his way. I just want to urge all Manchester United fans to get better and show him the respect we believe he deserves. I'm reluctant to make it personal, and I'm reluctant to beat down on Phil Jones because I know he's suffered a lot with injuries. Despite his last 10 games, about £15 million in wages. I kind of wish I'd been paid that much for 10 days worth of work. But so I get the social media aspect to it. But the lack of self-awareness to understand, one of the best players for United this season, it's not just his sister, because he said it in that interview you mentioned before the game. There just doesn't appear to be any self-reflection at all. No. And it's not, I'm sure it runs throughout the club.
Yeah, no, I think it does. I mean, because now and again, we don't want to, I don't want to run down the line of saying, well, football was better in the old days and stuff, but it's very clear that modern day footballers have their own entourages, their own teams around them, basically saying, you're not the problem. It's good to facilitate the ego of someone who's earning millions of pounds every couple of months. It's good for people to be around that. So they're obviously going to be saying that other people are the problem. the issue comes, Ed, and it's something that we've talked about for weeks and weeks. I think probably the very first pod that you and I did together at the start of the year after Paul wisely decided the time was now to get out.
He knew this was coming, right?
Yeah, right. One of the first things we talked about was the lack of accountability in the team. And,
Yeah.
like it or not, it starts with the captain, because the captain is there in whatever ceremonial role the captain performs. They're still named captain and they still take it seriously in some respects. So they're there to sort of lead team spirit and set the tone and all that sort of stuff. And it's been notable. A couple of people I haven't really noticed this so much because it's not something that I follow keenly, but a lot of people that I know will say, "Oh, Harry didn't come out for the post-match interview again." And that, I mean, it does say a lot that De Gea's been the one coming out and saying the standards are through the floor, and then you've got Maguire on the other hand saying that they're not. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
And then obviously he's at fault for some of the goals yesterday, because obviously, and we're talking about individuals here, and unfortunately, we've got to retrace the performance, haven't we, in the game. And Maguire was at fault for some of the goals, definitely at fault for the first one. There's no hiding that. I mean, he's not the only one.
God. No, he's not the only one, but it was so bad. I think the lack of accountability runs throughout everything. And Rangnick said they'd trained for this system as soon as the Norwich game finished. So they've been working on this all week. And we talk about lack of accountability. That first goal, where Maguire, it's really simple playing three. When you got a three against a three, and they're not 1-to-1 because Liverpool's three drop deep, the centre forward drops deep, and the two wide players come inside. You've got to work out where you're marking man or space. And the first thing Harry Maguire does 5 minutes into the game is push into midfield and have no awareness whatsoever of what's happening around him. I mean, it was shocking. You don't see that in the Championship. You really don't. Because in the Championship, they know how to defend. And that was just, it was just shocking. And for it to come, an hour after he's given that interview where he's like, I don't think it's fair. My standards are high.
Yeah.
Yeah. He referenced, as you were talking about, him being the captain. And I watched that interview and I was like, oh my God, he just has no idea, does he? And it was almost giving it the big I am. I'm the captain. And it just felt so tone deaf and so out of touch. And then to put in that performance, well, he's at fault for two of the goals, basically. I mean, that first one was just shocking. And was it the fourth goal or the third goal where he gives the hospital pass to Hannibal? It's so bad.
Can I just make a very quick point on Maguire? Is that in the last few games he's played on the right, and he's been playing, I'm not going to say good, but all right. He was caught out of position for for the first Norwich goal, but generally all right. And then he's moved back to the left of the three. I don't think that helps, but it's still no excuse, like you said. I can understand if he makes that mistake 40 minutes into a game where, and I say, this is me being generous, by the way, very generous. I can understand, let's say that the Liverpool defenders have caught him betwixt and between and all that sort of stuff. Like he doesn't know whether to stick or twist with what he's doing. But he's 5 minutes in, there's a plan. Even Rangnick said that we didn't plan for that. So he's obviously called out Maguire for the error. And there's no accountability afterwards as well, because like you said there, that I presume that's after the game that his sister said that. So I mean, I don't want to throw him under the bus. I don't want to be saying Harry Maguire played poorly, but come on, like he did play poorly in one of our biggest games. And it was a massive contributing factor to a dreadful performance and an all-round result. I'm sorry, the facts are the facts. Do you know, there's no way around it. I don't want to be... nobody wants to be sitting here saying that he played poorly and gave away 2 goals. We want to be sitting here saying, oh, that was a captain's performance that rivals anything that Brian Robson did at Anfield. And he didn't do it. I'm sorry, he didn't do it.
Robson would... if he'd played badly, which he rarely did, but if he'd played badly, he would have accepted that as well because he was real captain material. And there's no way he would let Liverpool players have it so easy. As Mo Salah said afterwards, they make it really easy for us. And Rangnick said it as well. You say you don't want to throw the players under the bus. I think Rangnick did. I mean, he's getting more.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
He's getting more exasperated and more frank. He's kind of demob happy, isn't he, now? He's getting very honest by the week and saying probably what he'd say in the dressing room out loud. And he called out the players and he called out the club as well. Yeah, he said there has to be a complete rebuild. And United have bought very poorly. So it was delicious. I really enjoyed it, I have to say.
Yeah. Does it sound like the words of a man who you think is going to be employed by the club next season?
No, it does not.
I'd like to think that he is, but because that's obviously De Gea being as honest as he has been, and I don't like the player interviews generally, but he's been so honest that I've liked that. And Rangnick obviously saying what everyone knew, 10 players, which is a big finger pointer in the dressing room. He's saying nobody was good enough. I don't know, Ed. I mean, you said it earlier about expecting this and expecting the low thing. And I think another thing that we've talked about is they always, United, even with low expectations, have found a way to underwhelm us. We've talked, I'm sure that we've definitely talked, we must have talked after the Watford game last or something where there were 3 opportunities, 3 big games from the winter and autumn where we were humiliated. I said we, the squad, the team were humiliated. Yeah. Watford, City and Liverpool. They've had 3 opportunities to put that right. Obviously, Watford, they didn't do it. City, they didn't do it. And against Liverpool, it's more an historical kind of thing because it became less about the result, less about the quadruple, less about the race for top 4 or anything like that, really. It became about the platform that these players have inherited by the success that's gone before them. Right. The volume of work done by Ferguson and Robson and all those players and that generation of players that went from when you and I started supporting the club, never thinking we'd see them win the league and then seeing them surpass Liverpool and go past Liverpool and become the most successful English club ever. And now these players are benefiting from the profile of all that work and the profile that comes with all that and everything. So do they not have, and I'm not, again, it's like, oh, the running around, the commitment, tackles, passion kind of thing. But they've got to show something, some kind of acceptance for the prestige and the privilege that they've got that was given to them by those players who worked so hard for it. And they're surrendering it. They literally, that's what they did. So that's shame on them. It is. And I don't know because we've talked, how long have we been going? 10 minutes, not talked about possibly. And this is only me talking, my personal opinion on this. My opinion on what I thought I saw from Paul Pogba yesterday was the most shameful thing that I've ever seen in a Manchester United shirt. Honestly, it's the worst thing I've ever seen anyone in a United team do. It's just at Anfield of all places as well.
Yeah. I couldn't work out what happened there because I actually felt a lot of sympathy for him after the Norwich game because he wasn't that bad and he's been singled out by the crowd. And I know everyone's frustrated with him because of expectations. And Karl Anka wrote a good piece for The Athletic saying, he said, Manchester United, but in that, I think we can include fans, expect Pogba to be something he's not. And we're judging him by that rather than for what he is, right? He's a supremely talented player. So I had a lot of sympathy. And then he didn't look injured, and I wasn't sure what was happening, and he just kind of waved over, didn't he? We saw the subs warming up before he actually came off. And then the limp came out because he did a sprint just before that. Well, a sprint for Paul Pogba. It's all relative, isn't it? And then, it felt like he subbed himself off, basically, and just gave up on it.
9 minutes.
And I don't know whether we'll see him back or not.
It doesn't do him any good, right, by the way. And we've talked about this as well. Yes, I see both sides of it as well. The Norwich thing and the ear to the crowd and everything. Yeah, he's got every single right to retaliate. Those fans, by the way, obviously they're not frustrated about the Norwich game, which his average wasn't particularly dreadful by his own standards. He can go missing. They were obviously showing their frustration about what happened at Everton. They're entitled to do. Fans are entitled to do that, and he's entitled to respond. Fair enough. You give it, you take back and everything. But then all this I'm upset because all the noise is coming out. I'm upset because she did that. And it's like, come on, let's have a bit of two-way mutual understanding here. It's not gone right for either of us. It's beneficial if we all move on. Let's not make... we might as well bring it crashing down, I guess, because there's nothing to salvage from it. It's just I don't think it reflects well on him to walk out of a game 10 minutes in. I'm not saying severely injure yourself or anything like that, but come on, give yourself 5 minutes to think. He's not, oh, I broke my foot or anything. That's at least not the noise that we're hearing from it. I just think in a game, in that particular game, which is typified by Robson, Souness, Keane, Gerrard, hot-blooded, like, fire battles in the middle of the park, and it's so typified. This is so typified by the soullessness about him. And Pogba just saying, you know what, you're right, this is it, and I don't have anything for this fight, and I'm just walking off.
It definitely felt like that, and he's going to go in the summer. We all know he's going to go, and it's part of the problem and the malaise at the club that so many players are leaving. And in a sense, I mean, it depends on our expectations as fans and the club's expectations and the Glazers' expectations. Ten Hag might start with a blank slate. And it depends on whether United do what they've been doing with players that need to go, and instead of selling them, sign them up to a new contract to, quote, protect the asset value, right? So that can't happen anymore. United need to have a real deep think about which members of this squad stay and which go, who are up for it and who are not. We know that 6 are going anyway, definitely. Lingard, Pogba, Matic, Mata, Cavani and Tahith Chong. I know he's not been part of the side really, but those 6 are definitely leaving. And there's probably another half a dozen that definitely should leave, and the club have just got to decide, are we going to stick with these players? Or are we just going to accept whatever fee we can get and move on and start again? And I'm not normally of the camp that says, oh, it's like Football Manager on in-game editor mode where you can just change all the players you feel like, right? It's not like that. And historically, under this ownership, United have not been able to do that many deals. They've done 12 in the last 8 windows. They just can't do a lot of deals. But they have to, even if they want to trim down the squad, they have to do quite a few deals this summer, more than is usual. I noticed that Marcel Boot and Jim Lawler both quit and or were pushed today, chief scout and his chief analyst. So clearly the reset is happening. We'll see what happens with Rangnick. He has said repeatedly now, I've told the board what's going on. I knew 3 or 4 games in that we needed a complete reset. I mean, he's clocked these players. He knows. Now, whether he's a good coach or not, or whether his methods still work or not, I don't know. Clearly, he's not been a success. I don't know what percentage is him, what percentage is the club environment, what percentage is this group of absolute fuckers that we have as players. I don't know where the balance lies, but clearly there's a complete reset needed in terms of players, leaving, coming in, much more volume than has been before, and they are going to revamp the department. Fletcher, who's on the bench yesterday, him, Armas and Rangnick as the brain trust chatting about what was going on. And Murtagh have got a hell of a job to do, just a hell of a job. And as I started this rant, the Ten Hag, presuming it is him, almost has a free pass. Now, he won't actually get that from the media or probably from the fans and maybe not from the club. And there's definitely a scenario in which he could get fired by March or April if he doesn't get the clean out. But if he gets a lot of younger players in who are hungry, who care, who are like Hannibal yesterday, and even if they're not quite good enough, are going to give it some, then the fans will respond to that for sure. Yeah, for sure. I have to say, the best part of yesterday, by absolute country mile, was Hannibal kicking the shit out of Henderson. I mean, just clocked him straight away, didn't he? It was beautiful. I was like, someone gives a damn. And that was an 85 minutes.
Yeah.
So, anyway, sorry for the rant.
No, we've wanted him in the team. There's been the promise that he's going to be around the squad for the last 3 months, and that's the first time we've really seen him. And
he did nothing with a ball, but he did exactly what we've seen in the under-23s, and he kicked a few players because he loves doing it. So
well, I mean, so did Paul Scholes. They never did him any harm, and what? I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, how ridiculous that's the highlight of the game, and he possibly should have been sent off, but so what? I mean, even when people are taking pity on us, the worst part of the game, I don't even think was the scoreline or anything like that. It's the fact that you want to hate Liverpool because that's what we're conditioned to do.
Yep.
And they behaved with class the whole way through. And you
Oh,
find
yeah,
it
yeah.
impossible to hate Klopp, impossible to turn on their fans because of what they did. Obviously, we're marking
For Cristiano,
with
yep,
respect.
yep,
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So everything,
yeah.
and they put on a show for their fans, and everything about it. Because we could be sitting here talking about Manchester City beating us 4-0, and my conversation on this would be different because I'd be saying, "Oh, well, it's artificial success and blah blah blah." Can't do that with
Yeah.
Liverpool, unfortunately, because
No, they're a proper club, run
yeah,
properly, and lots of respect for the fans, both for how they behave most of the time. Maybe not the ambulance shaking with Alan Smith and all of that. Generally, I mean,
we're going back a few years for that one though.
going back, everyone will have to go Google that now. But
Yeah.
so yeah, look, we are conditioned to hate them, but they're a proper club, run really well. The fans who've worked really hard during the pandemic to support people in need through food banks and so on deserve respect for that. Deserve respect for their tribute to Cristiano Ronaldo yesterday, which I wasn't sure because he'd asked for privacy. And when I'd heard that this was going to happen, I was like, oh, maybe he just wants to be left alone. But I think it was very respectful. Even singing You'll Never Walk Alone was directed at Cristiano. So yeah, I want to hate them. They didn't even gloat that much afterwards because it's too fucking easy.
God, I don't know. You're right. Your rant that you eloquently put together there with Ten Hag and the sort of the house of cards above him. I look at it and I look at the players that are going out, and I do like some of the murmurs that we're hearing about him coming in. And basically, I know that, look, the 6 players you mentioned, they're all gone, but I do like the idea that they're saying that Ten Hag's got the final decision on that because it at least gets things started on the right foot, that he had some kind of contribution saying, no, you've got to make sure that these contracts, if they were on the table, because there's definitely been one at some point on for Pogba, if he is involved in saying no, make sure that it's not on the table anymore, we just make a clean slate. Because what you need then is you need him to have the control of the dressing room, and that's something that we've never had since Van Gaal, when he came in and all the decisions for the senior players had already been taken, so they were all gone before, so he didn't have any control over that, and it was a problem from that day, and we've never really had that since, really, a manager with complete control over what's going on. But Gary Neville said something yesterday, just after the game, I think it was, where he was talking about how every player is a superstar and that every player is above the manager. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but every player at United is a superstar. And obviously with all this outgoing that's got to happen, there's, by complete accident, definitely not by design on the owner's part, for sure, but there's that opportunity that naturally comes about for that reset to happen, for the imbalance to be restored.
No, but that does depend on club structure. It really does, because what, as I mentioned earlier, what has tended to happen is players have been signed up to a new contract just because it's running down and they're worried about the value there. And it's cheaper to sign a player to a new contract, even if it doesn't fit in the squad, it imbalances the squad, or the manager doesn't want him, or they haven't even asked, than to sign a new player. Unfortunately, that has just been the way that United have behaved. And they've got this opportunity now to say, hey, that hasn't worked. We've got a new CEO, got a new director of football, we've got a new technical director, we're going to get a new manager, and we're going to get a new chief scout, because Jim Lawler's been at the club for absolutely ever. And so they're getting at this reset, they've got a chance to get it right. So I guess we're going to give them that opportunity, and we'll come back in August and we'll go, did they get it right or not? This is really sad, but I've kept a list of all the signings since Fergie and Gill left. I've got a flop, meh, or hit, right? I've got 5 hits. 5 hits amongst 40 senior players signed. I'm not counting the ones for the youth team, right? And that is 1.177 million gross spend, 1.1 billion spent since Fergie left in the transfer market.
Have I got to guess the 5?
Guess the 5. And you'll probably go, I don't think so. I don't think you'd complain about any of the others, to be honest.
Right. Okay, so slim pickings, they said. Oh my God, what a game. Play along at home if you're listening. So I've got to go. The most obvious one, I think, is Zlatan as a hit because he was a free and he scored a lot of goals.
He's a freebie and he scored a lot of goals. He imbalanced the team, but he scored a lot of goals.
Yeah. Even the positive comes with a caveat. Apart from that, Romero,
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Got him
another
as a hit.
freebie.
Another freebie. Yep. It's all in context, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You gotta start small. I'm on the fence on Juan Mata. What you would think about that?
I had a meh on him. I'm on the
Yeah.
fence. I think it's just too much. The last 3 years he's hardly played at all. So
Yeah.
okay. Don't know what's the point.
So still on two. I'll just have a couple more guesses because we could be here forever. Herrera.
Yep.
Yeah,
Got him as a hit. Yeah. I think so, especially in the context of he left and just left this mega hole in the midfield. Even if he wasn't the best player ever, he left a big hole.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Where else? There's probably someone obvious that I'm thinking that I'm completely missing.
Herrera, Romero, Zlatan. Okay, Bruno. I've got.
Bruno.
I've got Bruno.
Yeah.
This might have to be downgraded. I had Rafael Varane as a hit, but honestly, he's hardly played, so that might have to be a meh.
Yeah.
So maybe that's only 4 absolute successes in 40 signings. So the whole point of that was to say that United have got so badly wrong for a decade now. And they finally got someone in who's got the smarts in Rangnick, who understands what you have to do. And he said it doesn't have to take that long.
Yeah.
He did say in the same conversation, he said that Liverpool are 6 years ahead, but that was referencing how long that Klopp's been there.
Yeah.
But he then said it doesn't have to take so long if you know what you're after.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the job now. They've got to be smarter about what they're going for. This squad has got to be reset. There's hardly anyone in this squad that comes out with any credit this season. Even Bruno, who tops all the kind of metrics, but has not had a particularly good season. And in adversity, he's just become a big moaning whinger. He's not exactly modelling great behaviour, is he? So
the old adage I was using to defend him was because he's a gamble player, and Giggs was a gamble player, and obviously he had his little flirtation with the booze from the crowd. Booze, I should say, booing and not actual alcohol.
He had that as well. Him and Sharpie at parties and Fergie chasing him down. Yeah.
So Giggs obviously take a lot of gambles. His pass percentage, if you were going to look at it, would be pretty low, but he took a lot of gambles and those came off a lot of times. And when he retired, even at age 40, it still took a couple of years for someone, probably until Bruno really, took those kind of risks that you thought, or maybe Pogba, they would take a risk and something brilliant could come out of it, and you could also equally be frustrated. The problem is with Bruno, I think the frequency of the gamble is there's no care in it sometimes. And maybe that's like just a reputational thing throughout the team, that they're just not caring about where they're playing the ball for someone else, because there's not hiding players, but there's a lot of players who I think they just do what they want to do and get rid of the ball as soon as possible, and they don't really give any care, because as long as they're doing their job and as long as it can look all right on a YouTube clip, it won't, you know what I mean? If I've hoofed the ball somewhere and it's a far away enough distance from me, then I'm not going to get any comeback from it, which is really ludicrous, but that's what we've seen this season. Unfortunately, Bruno's part of that. He's took a lot of unnecessary gambles, passes. I can remember in my memory more frustrating passes that he's made than assists.
Yes. When he signed, I had a whole conversation on this pod, which was basically he will frustrate us a lot, and especially in big games where you need a bit of control. And I think that's going to be a problem, basically. I'm summarising, but you can go back and listen to it if anyone cares, and go back and listen to it. Because as usual, Paul was very excited, and I was my more pessimistic self, just going, I'm not sure this is going to work in some games. And he is that, and he's very important for United. But at some points when you're getting battered, you just want to keep the ball. Anyway, he's just one player. Every player in the squad has weaknesses. There's no perfect player. And in adversity, all those weaknesses have flared up. And it says a lot about the players that has happened. And for that reason, I'm not normally like this, but I just think a mega reset is needed as big as possible in the summer to give Ten Hag the best chance possible to get control of that dressing room and build some momentum going forward. Because sure as shit, it's not going to happen in the next 5 games. You know,
No.
the idea that United can somehow come out of this and find some form. Arsenal and Chelsea next. Brighton, Palace. Who else? There's 6 games, right? 5 or 6 games. Can't remember. Arsenal, Chelsea, Brighton, someone and Palace, I think. Brentford,
yeah.
Brentford and Palace.
Brentford,
yeah. Right. No easy games there. And I know it's like just post-Liverpool despondency, but it's hard to see United getting that many points. It might even end up in a worse point situation than in the Moyes season, 64. Can we get to 64, another 10 points?
In 6 games.
Hard to see that, isn't it?
Yeah. The theme which you started the pod with, the lowest expectations with United and their failure to match them. And it's so representative of this league that I think this league's very poor apart from the top 2 teams. Maybe Chelsea as well, but Chelsea aren't a million miles away from the rest, whereas City and Liverpool are. And we have been abysmal. I've said it numerous times. I stand by it. I think that this is all things in to consideration in terms of how much they cost, what their reputations are, all that sort of stuff. For me, this is the worst poor United team. I really think that they're that bad. And how they're still within touching distance of the Champions League is really, it's an indictment of the Premier League.
Yeah, it really is, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Arsenal lost 3 in a row, who we play next, Arsenal, and the wheels have really fallen off.
They're going to need a pick-me-up on that.
Yeah. Oh, God. They're going to get it. All right, shall we move on and talk about that briefly before we go? And give these poor, long, hard-suffering listeners a break from the moaning.
Yeah. You're right with the run of 3 defeats. And I look at the Everton game, I look at every team that we've played who've come into facing United this season on the back of one of these runs, and they've turned it around against us. And this isn't, every football fan has this, by the way. Every football fan has this kind of disease within us where we think that nature and irony is conspiring against our team. Unfortunately for them, Manchester United have been that team this season. There's no hiding from it because the results are there. The big games, they've been battered in all of them. So we've been right to be pessimistic. And even in the coincidental, quirky games like the ones that we're talking about, United have always found a way to underwhelm. And we're in that situation again on Saturday against Arsenal where they're not in a good run of form. They're throwing away their Champions League place. But here we are to provide them with a pick-me-up with, I'm going to guess, less of a midfield than what we had at Anfield, and just as bad a defence as we had there, and just as non-existent an attack.
Do you think Fred's going to be back? Because we could do with that. McTominay was on the bench. Maybe he's fit, maybe not. He didn't come on, so I reckon he's not fit.
But I don't think that they'd be good. Arsenal will be up for that. They've got an energetic team that will thrive upon that. For as useful as McTominay and Fred are in terms of the current midfield setup that we've got, as useful as they have proven to be in comparison to the other combinations that we've got, they're still not very good in big games. And this is a big game, and these players will be delighted to take McTominay and Fred because they're not good water carriers and they're not good.
Oh, God, no. It's hard to fault his personal drive and passion and effort level. He is a player, as we've talked about here, who hides. Technically, he hides in the passing lane. He doesn't want the ball. And then Fred just gives it away everywhere. I mean, he's better in the final third because giving it away is less dangerous than giving it away in the defensive third, basically.
Yeah.
But they're the best of a bad bunch. And if they're not available, it's a really bad bunch because what have we got left? We're going to be playing Bruno and Matic in central midfield. Man, they're going to get completely overrun. And Maguire, as confident as his social media posts are, is not confident on the pitch. Varane is not fit. And Bailly hasn't played in months. Jones is like, he's had 2 games this season. Is it two starts?
Well,
maybe Lindelof, given that Arsenal don't really have a lot of power up front, it's one of the games he can cope with. But God, I don't feel confident about midfield. I don't feel confident about that back four. And we'll see who's available up front. But Sancho, I guess, has to play because he was actually quite bright for the 45 minutes he played. Marcus Rashford, man, he's broken. He should just go on holiday now because it's like playing with 10 men. He gets the ball and we're like, he's going to give it away. He's just going to overrun it and he's going to give it away. And it happened over and over again. Yeah. He's just broken. I don't know whether Cristiano will be back. Who cares? Honestly, he should take all the time in the world. I don't particularly like him as a person, and I don't think he's very useful as a player anymore. Even when he scores a hat-trick and makes me look stupid. But as a human, he'd just take all the time because it's a devastating thing that's happened to him. And he doesn't need to come back. We'll find some other solution.
Yes, we've got problems there, but it's like the least of our worries, isn't it, really? Because I'm not saying, we can rely on Rashford. We definitely can't, like you said. But when you're looking at the human aspects of it, then suddenly the worry that you've got about us not being able to score goals, it goes by the wayside, considering the fact that we can't keep a clean sheet anyway. So it's not like in the big games this season, what have we done? I know Ronaldo he got record-breaking goals against Arsenal, didn't he? Or record-equaling goals against Arsenal in the earlier game, but away from home, a bigger pitch, or what feels like a bigger pitch, and the way that Arsenal make use of it compared to our team, it's not the kind of game that Ronaldo traditionally thrives in anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like Anfield wouldn't have been this version of Ronaldo. I mean, this veteran version of him. The system, the support that he'd be getting, it's not the kind of game for him. I think it's just one of those where Rangnick is probably just going to have to try and find a different kind of system. Certainly not the same one that failed so spectacularly at Anfield. But again, isn't that part of the problem, Ed, that we're still tinkering with systems and we're like 5, 6 games from the end of the season, still trying to find the best kind of system, still trying to find a good team, because as Rangnick said, this was another finger pointer, wasn't it? Some of these players aren't fit, it wasn't a question of the club's fitness regime, it was a question of the players turning up, basically. So there's all this kind of thing going on. And let's be fair.
Well, we could do with Cavani deciding that he's fit. Every week he decides he's not fit, as far as I can understand. So, I don't know what's worse, like not bothering to enter the pitch or fucking off as soon as it gets hard. So it's neither's good.
No.
I guess the one benefit is Arsenal can't score goals. They don't have a forward. They might play Martinelli up front. We'll see. They're playing today. The game will be over by the time this is published. Playing Chelsea today, so maybe they get a good hiding and they're broken as well. And we'll see who's the worst. It really is a battle for who wants to finish 5th and 6th, isn't it? Rather than for who wants to finish 4th. No one deserves it. So they're very powder puff. They really got hammered against Palace. Palace really deserved that win, and then they didn't do anything against Brighton and Southampton either. So their form and confidence is in the toilet. They're suffering for not having a forward. Lacazette's not fit, and I imagine they're somewhat embarrassed by just how many goals Aubameyang is scoring at Barcelona at the moment.
Yeah.
But I couldn't call this one. I think probably our confidence as a squad and a team is lower than theirs. And they're at the Emirates, and they'll have the home crowd pushing them on. And we know that United's players have no mental fortitude at all.
I've enjoyed this. For the way that you've phrased things, I've enjoyed this. So at least there's that, At least
there's that, yeah. Oh, man. Shall we give everyone some respite and leave it there?
We can do, but then they've got the 3-day abyss of staring, waiting for the United games. Yeah. I don't know, maybe like go and listen to some old positive episodes of the pod.
They might be around like 2008, 9.
They're there, so feast on them for a bit. Why don't you just rerun you must have got either the old review of the 2009 Champions League semi-final. Can't you just run that one and say, oh, look at what we did against Arsenal back then? And
you know what? I think we might have started the pod that summer. So I don't think we did that season's Champions League.
The following season, then we beat them 3-1 with a nanny flick and the Rooney goal.
Yeah, that was 2011, right? 10-11, the semi-final. Was that, or was that the 2008-9?
The one with the nanny flick and the Rooney breakaway was 9-10 because it was definitely the year
9-10.
after. It was
Okay.
the year after Ronaldo left, and it was the one where where we had frankly horrible kits that season. We had the chevron ones. It was the blue, the blue and black one. Oh, horrible kit. But great result and great football. So if you can dig that out, Ed, for the good
It'll be
listeners
somewhere.
of the pod.
All righty. Thanks. Good to talk to you, Wayne. And so, well, circumstances. Good to talk to you. Maybe not the content. Have a good one. And thanks for watching this game twice and reviewing it 3 times. Someone's got to do it, and you're serving the people.
Cheers, Ed.
All right. Bye now.